All right, so here we go with James 1:18. In the exercise of his will, he brought us forth by the word of truth so that we would be a kind of first fruits among his creatures. So this God bringing us forward, this is in the exercise of his will, he brought us forth. This is kind of a birth or begat type imagery by the word of truth. So this kind of calls back to John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God. Everything that was created by him, for him, nothing was made that was made. John 1:1. And that one, so James is kind of comparing that. Now this word of truth, this is talking about both moral and spiritual truth, as well as just knowledge truth. So 1 John 1:5 hits on this as well. 1 John 1:5 through 6. This is the message we have heard from him and announced to you, that God is light, talking about James 1:17, God is light, and in him there is no darkness at all. Here we go. Verse 6. If we say we have fellowship with him and yet walk in darkness, we lie and do not practice truth. So this do not walk in darkness, do not walk in deception from the last couple of verses in James 1. And then walk in that moral and spiritual truth, so that we would be a kind of first fruits among his creatures. So book of Exodus 22:39 talks about the tithe and giving the first fruits to God. So James is kind of tying this in there. And remember with the, in the old covenant, with Israel, your first and best go to God. So now what James is saying here is he's saying, as humans, we are the first and best to God, assuming we're walking in the light. We're walking in moral and spiritual truth. So it also compares to that Jesus is the first fruits of those that have fallen asleep. So Jesus kind of leading the way there, because again, James is talking to fellow believers. He grew up with Jesus, so he has kind of that grew up with Jesus, learning lessons from his older brother type of mentality. So with this first fruits, I mean, if you kind of think of like, if you're an artist, like the best thing that you made, that's the one that you're super most proud of. That's kind of the way God thinks of us. The animals, those are all pretty cool. The earth, the plants, pretty cool. But those humans, they're my number one. Those are the ones that are super special to me. Now, when it comes to walking in this moral and spiritual truth, remember, the Bible is not like just a self-help book. It's like, it's not just a bunch of rules. If you want to live long and happy, do these things and stay away from these things. That's not really the way it is. There's a lot of freedom within the Bible, which James will get into. So don't read it that way, but these verses here are towards us looking into what are some of the things that I'm deceiving myself in. Because again, James says, don't be deceived. All the good things come from God. So if you think that the things that you want is going to lead towards you living a long and happy life, that's not necessarily going to be the case, because those come from above, which was the last verse. So again, Bible's not a self-help book, but it is helpful. And if you do want to go through and look at what it looks like, Book of Proverbs is a really good one to start in. It gives you a lot of Proverbs is almost a self-help type thing. It's got a lot of good sayings in there as far as proper living. But remember, the main idea with this is James wants us to be with him as being a useful tool to God. And these are the things that we need to think about if we're planning on being on the same team with Jesus as our captain.